Hey folks, JD here. I was watching the Democratic National Convention the other day, and I noticed that CNN, and which I've noticed it a while back, but CNN has actually started fact checking some of the stuff that the Democrats are reporting, which I found kind of odd because CNN used to be one of the head places where you went and got you some Democrat news. I got to looking into it, and Elon Musk, previously before the Donald Trump era, had been a pretty much a libertarian. Once him and Donald Trump kind of got to know each other, now he's kind of leaning a lot more to the right. And one of the things I noticed was both of them started pushing the whole thing with the new artificial intelligence, AI, taking over the world. And I always thought Elon Musk owned Tesla, and he kind of does. He started Tesla. Elon owns 12, almost 13% of Tesla. Another group called Vanguard owns about 7.5%. BlackRock owns 4.6%. And another company called State Street, well, they own 3.6%. I said, well, that's interesting. You take those, add them up, and you end up with about 15% of the stock is owned by some of the three largest investment groups on planet Earth. They own together more of the stock than Elon does. So I started looking around at some of the investment firms' investments. I noticed that, I don't want to say they hedge their bets, but if you've got money on both fighters, you tend to win no matter what happens. You kind of come out ahead, depending on which way you move the needle. It's very interesting because between those three stock firms, between Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street, they own stock in every news media corporation that there is out there. They hold large amounts of stock in Apple, Facebook, which is Meta, Instagram. They own stocks in Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Why invest in one when you can invest in both? That way, when one stock goes up, everybody wins. It's very interesting the way they have all this set up, and they own so many other companies below them that if you start looking at who invests in certain companies, it'll say one of the biggest corporations that invest in some of these companies is Vanguard. Well, that's right, but below that, you'll see subsidiaries of Vanguard and BlackRock and State Street again. These are companies that not only the parent corporation, but the companies under them have also invested. So it's not just 7% here, 10%. You go to add it up, and these companies, they own altogether, 30, 40% of some of these companies. And I got to look at it, Vanguard has investments in over 1,000 companies in the United States, just in the U.S. So that's very interesting. But there's not a lot that goes on in the U.S. as far as economics that they don't have a hand in. Well, I noticed that the Democrats don't have a platform in place. I don't hear them speaking about artificial intelligence. I don't see them speaking about new ways to make money in the United States. It seems like most of the interviews that I've seen here in the past few weeks, they almost have no idea what's going on in the country as far as, the financial aspect of it. All they know is, it's bad. Well, yeah, we all know that. What are you going to do to make it better? Because you've been in there for 3 years, almost 4. And, 12 of the last 16 years has been the Democrat-run United States of America. We have inherited their problem. But that has nothing to do with today's video. Here's what today's video is about. The three investment groups, Vanguard, State Street, and BlackRock, have always invested in both sides of the platform. What they'll do is they wiggle the needle and get, just say political. They'll get the Republicans to hate the Democrats, and the Democrats hate the Republicans. Well, they bet on both of them. So no matter what happens, they win. Same thing with Coke and Pepsi and all of the companies. If you look at some of the companies that they own a lot of other companies too. Coca-Cola owns a ton of companies. So does PepsiCo. So when they win, the subsidiaries that help prop up these major companies are also owned by these stock investors. But the computer chips, there's a lot. Nvidia is the number one, chip producer out there, and they've opened up. They're in the process of building another chip manufacturing facility in Taiwan, which is a territory of China. But they're also building a data center for artificial intelligence on how to use AI going into the future. The whole thing about building this building in Taiwan is to figure out how to use AI going on into the future, doing things that we have not yet conceived of. So that's what NVIDIA is in the process of doing. Well, they're growing. Here's one of the things. BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard have invested billions of dollars into NVIDIA over the last few years. The stock for NVIDIA just in 1 year almost doubled. Between 2023 and 2024, the stock went up almost double. So if you put in $500 billion, now you've got another trillion. And I think the last time I looked at Vanguard stock, it was their total net worth was like $9.3 trillion. Just that one company has more money than most governments have. They move the needle that moves the world in which we all live in, whether you like it or not. But there's a lot of smaller chip companies. Now there's some big names like Dell and things like that, but going the way they're going, they need another mirror competitor, someone who is just as good and just as recognizable as NVIDIA. And I think that's where Neuralink comes in, the company that Elon Musk started. There was a chip shortage a few years ago, and I think that's what spurred it. And he has created a new company that started making their own computer chips, which they still use some NVIDIA chips at SpaceX. But I think what he's trying to do is build his own computer chips for his own projects, like SpaceX and Tesla, and whatever else he has moving forward. But NVIDIA needs a mirror competitor that does not quite exist on the same level that they do right now. Now, just say Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street were supposed to, say, invest into this new company, Neuralink, which as of right now, it's publicly traded, but there's a wall. You have to pass certain criteria to even be able to invest in Neuralink. Joe Blow can't invest in Neuralink on the open market. And everything that I've seen, there's a few companies that are invested in it, and they are subsidiaries of Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. They're not the mother company. They're subsidiaries of it down below, other companies that they own. One of them is Google, which the primary, company for Google is Alphabet, and Alphabet is their primary shareholder is Vanguard. So if you just follow the chain all the way up. But anyway, what I was going to say is I think these people are really pushing Donald Trump moving forward in the presidential election. I don't think Harris has a hope in getting elected, because the people who move the needle of the world only care about how they can make a dollar out of it. That's the only way that they function. That's what they do. That's the only thing they think about. They use the chess pieces on the board to advance themselves. That's it. There's no such thing in their library as a Democrat is good or a Republican is good, or we're going to push. If they could have found a use for Kennedy, he would have been president. That's all they care about, is how to invest their money and make more money, and how to keep the world running the way they need it to run to make more money. That way they can control it. It's not so much about money as it is the power to control the world and keep it going the way it's going, but they have to have money to do that. They have to have so much money that they can never lose. And I think we're at the point now to where if you just look it up, if y'all take some time, look up BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, and all you have to do is look up their stocks, look up where their stock holdings are, and see who it is. And you would be absolutely surprised at the number of companies that they own both sides of the fence, because once you start digging through it, you notice there's competing markets. You know, you create new businesses to compete with existing businesses, to control the pricing. You know, it's almost disheartening to look at it all, to really look behind the curtain and to see how it all works. But look it up on who Vanguard, State Street, and BlackRock invest in, and you'll realize I see so many people on social media, on the television, that are absolutely angry at people that they don't even know. You know, I see people that just hate Republicans. Everybody's a white supremacist. Republicans try to, you know, they swear up and down this and that, and you look at both sides and you look at the news channels for both of them, and it's crazy. It's absolutely insane the way they have divided the country between, you know, it used to be the North and the South. You know, the people who grew from the earth, you know, who planted things, grew things, and fed the nation, was separated by the people who manufactured everything. You know, all of your big companies, your big businesses, your manufacturing, all of your big union jobs, they were all up north, and then below a certain part of the United States, they planted everything and grew everything that everybody ate off of, and they figured out a way to separate everybody. And then they invest in both sides, and you look back how far BlackRock goes. It's very interesting. Do some research on the people that are actually running the country, because it's not it's local politicians. They don't have a sway in it. You know, most local politicians are probably trying to make a better place for everybody to live in. When you get into a state politician, just to get into the Senate, you know, most states, it's around $3 million to run an actual successful campaign to get a state Senate seat. Who's got $3 million to run a campaign that they never see a return investment just to do the right thing to serve their fellow man in the Senate? Nobody. So you go in and you get money from these investment groups and borrow the money from them to run the campaign, and these dollar bills come with strings and chains. And that's why no matter who you elect, they never seem to get anything done, because they're waiting on the people to tell them what to do. I think it's hilarious that I get on. I've been watching the Democratic National Convention, and you sit and watch Kamala Harris talk about how she's going to change things. The Democrats have been in power for 12 of the last 16 years. What are you going to do that you haven't already done as a group of people? Because she herself can literally do nothing unless she's allowed to do it. So they're just talking heads, and we, the people, will vote for the face we want. But I think this time, I think the powers that be have put Kamala Harris in a position to where she's just filling a slot. I think she's there to have someone to have Donald Trump to run against. I think there'll be something that comes up that makes her unelectable to where she loses votes. Something will happen in the next 70-something days before the election. And everybody will either be discouraged and not go vote on the Democrat side, or there will be something that happens that swings the votes so far into Donald Trump's favor that he becomes the president. Right now, it's 50-50. But when you look at the two comparative to each other, is it really? I don't understand how people can be so divided in a country where we have so many problems, and they're looking for hope, for someone to come save them. I don't understand how we got to this point in the United States. I don't. I remember when I was growing up, I remember people that went out and knocked on doors, handed out flyers, whatever they needed to do, started community programs, food pantries, things like that. They didn't wait on the government to come save them. They got up, went out, and worked with their community to make a better place in which they lived in. You didn't have to save the world. If you can just start in your local community and show other people how you do it, it will spread from there. But it starts at a community level, because make no mistake about it, on the world stage, we are in a global economy. You can't change the world. Neither can Kamala Harris, neither can Donald Trump, Elon Musk. They're at the point to where they're just doing what they're told to do at this point, because there's too much money to lose and too much money to gain. Just worry about each other. At this point, I think we're all ants in the heel, and every once in a while somebody will kick the heel in the direction they want it to go. But other than that, you just got to worry about your local people, man. You know, you can disagree, hoot, holler, but we all live on this rock together. Y'all learn how to love each other, because every once in a while somebody shakes up the jar and all the little ants go to squabbling. Stop letting them shake the jar. Honestly, you look like a bunch of idiots at times on both sides. I understand there's certain values, but how many of you that are Democrats can state these are the 5 most important values of a Democrat? These are the most 5 important values of a Republican. How many of you can state this right here? Here's the top 5 things that Donald Trump stands for, and this is why I'm backing him. How many of you can say these are the top 5 things that Kamala Harris stands for, and this is the things that they're going to do, and this is why I stand behind them? And I think that any politician that would allow a mobile murder bus out in front of their facility are absolute idiots. Donald Trump has not taken anybody's rights away to go get you an abortion. He knocked it down. It's a state level. If your state does not want you to go get an abortion, then go to a state that does. Boom, problem fixed. He has not outlawed abortion. He has not put you in jail for abortion. I can't believe that the biggest conflict that an entire group of people has is the fact of whether or not they want to go murder their child. If that's your biggest problem on planet Earth, you have far more problems than that one. It's a disgrace. I'm not going to tell you you can't go do it. I'm not going to tell you you can, but I'm going to pray for you and tell you there's a Jesus Christ who's looking down on you. One day you're going to have to answer for it, and that's on you. And if you want to talk about the good Lord, give me a ring. We'll sit and talk. I'll tell you about somebody great. But, you know, I'm not going to sit here and squabble over you and your right to kill your baby. I can't get into that, because it's a heated, hateful argument, and there's no going forward. If someone has gotten to the point to where that's what they want to do, and it's not a medical decision, if it's not a have to, then that's a you decision. And I can't tell you how to be you. I can help you be a better you. Y'all pray for each other. Stop hating each other all the time. Group up a group of folks. Go out and check on the elderly. Call your mama. Y'all take care.